Greetings, learners. I welcome you to today's lesson, where we are going to look at one of the aspects, grammar. For our lesson today, we are going to look at how to change a verb in the simple past tense, that's in a direct speech to reported speech. And we'll also look at how to change verbs in the present perfect in the direct speech to reported speech. But before that, I want to take us through last week's lesson, where we looked at changing verbs in the present tense to the past tense. That's the present tense of the verb in the direct speech to the past tense in the reported speech. So for verbs in the present tense, we said last week that when changing into a reported speech, we change the verb to the past tense. And we looked at some examples and also had questions to assess ourselves. And I believe that was very simple. For today's lesson, we will mainly look at these objectives I stated earlier. We are going to change simple past tense verbs from direct speech into reported speech, and also change verbs from present perfect from in a direct speech to reported speech. I'll also take you through what a simple past tense is and a present perfect verb is. Now let's look at the first objective for the lesson, where we change simple past tense verbs in a direct speech to reported speech. So it is required that when changing a simple past tense verb from a direct speech to reported speech, you change it to the past perfect tense. You change it to the past perfect tense. So our main focus is on being able to identify a verb in the past tense or in the simple past tense, and being able to know what the past perfect tense is. So when we talk about the simple past tense or the past tense of the verb, we say that the past tense of a verb expresses an action that already happened and was completed in the past. So the simple past tense expresses an action that already happened and was completed in the past. Example: Mensa refused to come. So the refused there is in the simple past tense. It is telling us that the action started somewhere in the past and ended in the past. Now we see that when you have a sentence like this, all we have to do in the reported speech is to change the verb in the simple past tense of the direct speech into past perfect tense. So for the past perfect tense, we say that it expresses an action that was already finished at some time in the past before another took place. So for the past perfect action, it expresses an action that was finished at some time in the past before another took place. So example, Kwame had finished eating when his mother got home. Kwame had finished eating when his mother got home. So you realize that the verbs used in that sentence is stating that an action finished at some time in the past and another one also took place. So he finished the work, it was done already. Then another took place before the mother got home. Very good. So let's quickly look at the example on our screen. Michael said, Senyo ate the food. Michael said, Senyo ate the food. So the verb we are looking at is the ate, which is in the simple past tense. And so we are going to change that in a direct form by converting that into the past perfect tense, where we would have to state an action that happened somewhere in the past. So it reads in the reported speech, Michael said that Senyo had eaten the food. Michael said that Senyo had eaten the food. Because we're looking at the direct and reported, we'll limit the sentence this way. All I want us to identify is that we have had eaten the food. Had eaten, telling us that the sentence is in its past perfect tense, or is in its past perfect form. So when we use had and we use the past participle form of the root word, it means that we have formed the sentence in the past perfect tense. I hope that is clear. We are saying that verbs in the simple past tense of a direct speech is changed to the past perfect when we are looking at direct and reported speech. And we're saying that when we have the simple past tense of a verb, we're saying that that verb is stating an action that was completed somewhere in the past. And so in changing that to reported speech, we ought to change the simple past tense of the verb to the past perfect tense, where the action expressed is stating that an action finished sometime in the past and another completed. And so the verb that tells us that the action is in the past perfect tense is when we use the past tense of the verb has or have, where we have had with the plus the past participle form of the main verb we are talking about. So let's quickly look at the examples in our textbooks. Grammar, Comprehension and Composition, Book 6, page 107. Page 107, number 5, where we have the simple past tense becomes the past perfect. So, example, Teria said, Olabode returned at noon. Teria said, Olabode returned at noon. So the question is, what is the verb? What is the tense of the verb in that sentence? So we can identify that the tense of the verb in that sentence is the simple past tense. And so in changing that to reported speech, we had to change that returned to the past perfect form. And so we have, for the indirect or reported speech, we have, just as it is written in the textbook. So help me go through that quickly. Teria said that Olabode had returned at noon. Teria said that Olabode had returned at noon. So we have had returned, informing us that the sentence has been changed into the past perfect tense. Then the last one we have, he said, Mary came at night. He said, Mary came at night. In that sentence, what is the tense of the verb? What is the tense of the verb? I believe we all can see the verb in that sentence. So what is the tense of the verb used in the direct speech? Very good. So we have came. used in the direct speech. So in changing that, we have, he said that Mary had come at night. He said that Mary had come at night. Please, for the come, we have that is the past participle form of the verb itself, come. So we learned that the past tense of come is came. Its past participle form is come again. So no need to worry and to think that we have used the present tense of the verb. We have changed it. This is a different verb on its own, and so it has its past participle form just as its present tense, but we have changed. And the only thing to tell us that it has been changed to the perfect or past perfect tense is the use of had. So had come is the past perfect tense used in that sentence. Very good. I believe we can form more examples looking at the examples in our textbook and that on the screen. Very good. Let's quickly go to our next objective, where we want to change the present perfect verbs in the direct speech to reported speech. So what happens to the verb in the present perfect tense or form? So for the present perfect verbs in the direct speech to indirect speech, what we do is that we change the verbs to the past perfect again. We change the verbs to past perfect. So our main idea is being able to identify the present perfect verbs or present perfect tense or forms of verbs in the direct speech. So what then is a present perfect verb? How do you tell whether the sentence is in the present perfect form? So for a present perfect form or tense, we say that it is a tense used to express actions that happened only a short time ago, and it is formed using the auxiliary verbs has and have. So for the present perfect tense, it is used to express actions that happened only a short time ago, and it is formed using the auxiliary verbs has and have plus the past participle form of the main verb. So like I said, we should know what the verb is in the sentence. So let's look at the example we have here. Sedem said, Kwame has done his work. Sedem said, Kwame has done his work. So in our direct speech, we want to identify the verb first, then we'll look at the present perfect form of the verb. So we have done there. Done is a verb there, which has its original for its root form to be do. And so we have it changed already because we have the use of has there. So has before the past participle form of the verb, or has plus the past participle form of the verb do, makes this sentence the present perfect tense. And so Kwame has done. Has done is saying that the sentence is in the present perfect. The use of has and then plus the past participle form of the verb do tells us that the action has been done in the present perfect tense. So in changing that to reported speech, we have Sedem said that Kwame had done his work. Sedem said that Kwame had done his work. We learned in the previous objective that when we use had plus the past perfect form of the verb, the sentence is in the past perfect tense. And so we have underlined has done as a present perfect verb, and in changing that we have just taken off has and replaced it with had, and we have added the past participle form of the root verb do. Very good. Let's quickly look at the example at page 107. Number 3. where it talks about the present perfect becoming the past perfect. So in the direct speech we have, Peter said, Osa has done his work. Peter said, Osa has done his work. So for the direct speech we have, Peter said that Osa had done his work. Peter said that Osa had done his work. Then for the other example we have, she said, Halima has written the letter. She said, Halima has written the letter. For the reported speech we have, he said that Halima had written the letter. He said that Halima had written the letter. So for the direct we have, she said Halima has written the letter, which is changed to he said that Halima had written the letter. Very good. I believe going through the examples we have deduce meaning from what our objectives for the day is. So we have just looked at how to change a sentence from the direct to indirect, looking at the verbs in the simple past tense and the verbs in the present perfect tense. Very good. For assignment today, we are going to answer the questions on page 108, exercise 1, page 108. We are answering 1 to 10. 1 to 10. 1 to 10. We should change the sentence from direct to indirect speech. Very good. This has been very fruitful. Hope to see you another time. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.